Hi, honeys. It's Michelle and Brad, and we are on our way to California. Just for an overnight trip. It's a business trip of Brad's, and I am accompanying him for his road trip. Keep him company and all that fun stuff. So by the time you watch this, it'll be Thanksgiving week. Do you have any Thanksgiving traditions, Brad, that you had as a child, or any Thanksgiving memories that you want to mention?
So my dad's mom, this is back in the early 90s. So my dad's mom, she was a character, and not necessarily in a good way. So one Thanksgiving meal, in the middle of the meal while everybody's eating, she decided to start talking about the corn on her feet. And she actually took off her shoe and stocking and plopped it on the table in the middle of dinner.
Ooh. Anything else?
Let's see here. I spent Thanksgiving 2000 in Chicago O'Hara. There was a blizzard that came in. Was it 2000? Yeah, it was. Yeah, sure. There's a blizzard that came in and got snowed in for 2 days, and the hotels were all booked. And I was in the military at the time, so I couldn't afford a hotel if I wanted to anyway. And so I pretty much slept on the floor and drank a bunch of alcohol for 2 days at the airport.
So it's like a planes, trains, and automobiles, but without the trains and automobiles?
Yes. And I couldn't afford to change my ticket because they had really weird rules back then.
Yeah.
So I was just stuck on the first flight that became available. When you got 2 days of backup of holiday traffic, finding an available flight is a chore in and of itself.
Okay.
Now, my family didn't really have Thanksgiving traditions. We had the same meal pretty much every year. Pretty standard Thanksgiving meal.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Well, my mom made excellent stuffing.
Yeah. And I know you love those Pillsbury Doughboy crescent rolls.
Yes, the crescent rolls I absolutely love. My mouth waters every time I see them.
And what's your favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
So in New York, when all the apples were plucked, all sorts of apple-type pies were in season up there, as well as rhubarb. So strawberry rhubarb was my gig. It's always my gig all year round, so it's not Thanksgiving specific. But we had a neighbor that was excellent making pies, so she'd usually make us a Dutch apple pie, and if she had enough rhubarb, she would make strawberry rhubarb for me and my dad. Nancy. That was our neighbor's name.
What are you grateful for this year? Nothing.
No, so like all three people in that vehicle in the moving van were on their phones, including the driver. So I was just kind of rolling my eyes.
Yeah.
So what am I thankful for this year? Well, I'm thankful that I am gainfully employed, that my income was enough to help us crawl through the year financially.
Yeah.
Unlike many of our Las Vegas neighbors, Las Vegas unemployment is somewhere in the 15% range. And there's like a 3-month backlog in foreclosures and evictions. So the numbers of people negatively affected because of loss of job is just astounding. It's probably going to be in the 6 figures. So I'm happy that Michelle and I aren't in that predicament, and that my boss is very diligent in finding work. So I have a job as long as I want it. I'm I'm thankful for being in Las Vegas. I love the desert. And even with the restrictions, I still love the town. I'm also thankful for learning how to not respond to everything with anger, especially actually practicing that. I don't have to show up to every fight that I'm invited to. That's enough top of my head.
It's a rough one. Trying to not show up to every fight you're invited to.
It's very difficult for me.
When I was a little girl, we used to always go to my Aunt Gail and Uncle Martin's house. And so it'd be this big to-do where we'd get up and get on the ferry, because back then we lived in Bothell, Washington, and my aunt lived in Bremerton. So you had to take a ferry to get over there. And they had a beautiful home on the water. And we would go over there, and I remember my Uncle Martin used to make this wonderful turkey, but what was really good was his gravy. It's like legendary in our family. And my mom, everybody always wanted my mom's cheesecake. And to this day, it's my favorite. And to this day, it's my favorite dessert for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be making that this every year. No matter what we do, I always make that so I can eat it. And I've decided as long as it's my mom's cheesecake that I make, it's not fattening. So I can eat literally the whole thing in it. I won't gain any weight. I've decided. I decided that years ago, and so far it hasn't failed me. I don't actually gain weight when I eat a bunch of it. But if I did all year, I would, I'm sure. But trying to think. Then as I got older, as a teenager, once my parents got divorced, I usually rotated going to my mom's or dad's for Thanksgiving, and I don't remember any traditions at that point. I don't know if we should just create our own or what, but yeah, I don't really have any. Do you guys have any ideas for Thanksgiving traditions for couples? I know there's a bunch of family ones, like for people with kids. We don't have kids.
I guess another tradition was me and my dad would pull out the lights from the basement and start putting up the Christmas stuff over the Saturday and Sunday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, and that's something you and I have kind of done too.
Off and on.
And usually within a couple of days after Thanksgiving, we get our tree too.
Yeah, we try to get Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, that's a big rule for us. We don't do fake trees in our home.
Yeah, and if you want to get a tree on Thanksgiving weekend, I strongly suggest getting a fir. They are durable and last long as long as you keep them well watered.
I think, as terrible as it is, my favorite Thanksgiving, like the food part now, is probably just the mashed potatoes with the gravy on it. I just love it. It's so good. But, and then as far as what I'm thankful for, I'm thankful for actually a lot of things this year. I'm thankful that no one in either one of our families has become really ill with the virus that's going around. In fact, I don't think anybody's even tested positive in our family, not our immediate family. So that's,
Not that I'm aware of.
yeah, that's a blessing right there. I'm very grateful that we live in Vegas now. We just love being in the desert, and I'm glad that we moved when we did, because if we didn't and the virus hit, we'd still be in Florida, and I don't know that we'd ever be able to save up and move it at this point. So
Ag station.
what?
Ag station coming up.
Ag?
Agricultural. That's what the boost where they got declared you don't have.
Oh, okay.
The California thing.
Yeah.
They're called.
What the hell are you talking about?
They're called. They're informally called ag stations.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I'm really grateful that I met my surgeon guy and found out that I don't need surgery and that he has been able to help me. We were just talking before I started recording. I'm starting to feel so much better. Like, I always had this, like, tightness in my chest, and my chest kind of hurt a little bit, and I felt like just this crazy tension, and anything that stressed me out, I feel like this, I don't know, electric feeling in my chest. And he said, look, after your body starts recalibrating, your brain and everything, you're going to feel so much better. And I didn't even realize all that tension on my chest and the chest pain, like how bad it really was, until now that it's gone. It's like, I just feel like this huge weight has been lifted. So I'm really grateful that I went and met with him and that I'm starting to feel better. It gives us a lot of hope for, the future, as far as my being more active and having more energy to do my job better and to do YouTube better and just everything. And so, yeah, that's very exciting. I'm also super grateful that I have this wonderful husband. He's my best friend, my companion, and he's always taken good care of me and protected me. Even when, you know, I'm going through all these health problems, he's always the one to take me where I need to go and wait in the waiting room and not complain. And it's, you know, it just really takes good care of me, and I always feel very fortunate about that. And he's a very hard worker. So even though this has been a really rough year, we really haven't, it's been tight, but we haven't really had to go without the way a lot of people have, because he's such a hard worker, and I genuinely am grateful for that too. And this is a really silly one, but I'm really grateful for books. It's just such a nice way every day, no matter how stressful things get, because, you know, 2020's been quite the stressful year. I can always turn to a book at the end of every day and go to bed with a mind that's not racing, because I can think about whatever book I'm reading and what it means and how much I like whatever or don't like whatever about the book. But it's just such a stress reliever in my life, and so I'm so thankful for books. Not just all the knowledge that comes from them, but the stress relief and the ability to step outside of my problems and read about someone else's life. It's just really wonderful.
It's impressive, the difference in quality of roads crossing from Nevada to California.
We are now entering the Mojave Natural Preserve.
And in the middle of the Mojave is a little town called 29 Palms. And
Brad used to live there.
Yes. Well, not in the town. I lived on the military base.
Yes.
So there's also a base called 29 Palms, and it's got like 3 different names because the Marine Corps keeps changing stuff, because that's what the Marine Corps does for some reason. So if you ever happen to drive through that little town, which I don't know if they have a stoplight, and you smell this awful sewage, there's a little pond at the front gate of the base. And especially in the summertime, that pond stinks up the entire area. And there's no official story as to why it smells like sewage. I mean, there's sewage in it, but there's no official story as to why there's sewage in this big pond next to the front gate of the 29 Palms Marine Corps base, training facility / a bunch of other things.
And if you ever drive through that area, or you see signs for it or anything, just think of Brad and the fact that he went through absolute hell there. It's not funny, but he did. He went through a lot in that place.
Spent 1.5 years there.
Got a bunch of training, and some of the stories you told me, you definitely went through a lot there. So it's
Yeah, that was...
It's not for the faint of heart, I could say that.
So, yep, that's where I went to my communications and electronics schools. I did 3 different schools there. That's where I learned how to become an electronic technician and communications operator.
Isn't that where, like, I can't remember the name of it, the Mile of Hell or the Road of Hell or something is?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That thing that the Marines go through where, like...
The Crucible?
Yeah.
No, that occurs on the recruit depots or, Paris Island and San Diego bases where they, boot camp.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's like the grand finale of boot camp. When I went through Paris Island, they just started that. Our class was like the 4th or 5th class to do that.
Uh-huh. And did you make it through?
Yes, I did.
I had no doubt that you were going to say yes, because I know you're badass.
You don't get to become a Marine unless you make it through.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, that's like your final exam for Marine Corps.
So if you don't make it through, you have to keep redoing it, or what?
Yep.
Did you do it the first time?
I never got held back in boot camp.
Wow.
About 2/3 of people go through boot camp in the Marine Corps get held back at some point. And it depends on what you get held back for. Like if you get held back at the rifle range, you just added 3 weeks. But most of the other weeks, if you mess up, fail that week, you just get held back 1 to 2 weeks. But yeah, the rifle range you get held back 3 to 4 weeks if you mess that up.
I told you he was a hard worker.
Well, the rifle range isn't hard work. It's fighting your zen. That's the art of shooting. Angry, anxious people tend not to make the best marksmen.
Really?
Yes.
I would have thought the other way around.
No, you gotta be able to completely let your muscles and tendons relax.
Huh.
Otherwise, you gotta reset every shot. If you're completely relaxed and you learn the breathing techniques and the trigger pull techniques and the proper skeletal structure for the weapon, every time you shoot, it'll come right back to where you aimed in the first place. You learn that skill, all you gotta do is be calm. And the round will hit generally the same area over and over and over. So, one of the cute things about the Marine Corps is that part of our rifle qualification is we shoot at 500 yards. Yards, not feet, yards.
So that's like a football field or more?
A lot more.
I don't know, that's what I'm asking. And there's probably other people that don't know either. So how long is a football field? Do you know?
Including the end zones, it's I think 130 yards, including the end zones.
Oh my gosh.
So the playing field is 100 yards.
Okay, so it's like 4 or 5 football fields you have to be able to shoot.
5.
Wow.
Yeah, shoot accurately. So you get like a little half silhouette target. Well, I don't know what it is now, but back in the 90s, yeah, you got like these little half silhouette targets. And it was a hit or miss thing, which at 500 yards, be happy that you hit it. Doesn't matter if you hit it in the shoulder or in the chest.
Wow, so all Marines have to be able to do that?
Yes, every Marine that goes to boot camp has indeed qualified at the rifle range.
Wow.
Including the 10 shots from the 500-yard line. Yep, and no scopes. Iron sights only.
Oh.
No scopes. If you want, and you don't get to bring binoculars, at least at boot camp. You can ask the guys in charge of the range if you could use theirs. But if you know how to use the iron sights properly and everything is set, if your weapon is properly zeroed, you don't need the binoculars. So when you shoot the target, there's a berm, and then on the other side of the berm are a bunch of Marines, marking the targets where you hit it. So like if you got a black silhouette, they'll have like these big white circles, and they'll stick a hole in the circle where you hit the target.
Huh.
And they never told the guys in the pit who was shooting on your line. That way, if there was friends or enemies, you wouldn't mismark it intentionally. Yeah, so the black silhouettes, you put a white circle in there, so just a big white cardboard thing with a plastic stick in it, I guess, and you punch it. But if you missed, and which means you went to the white background, you got a black circle. And if you missed the target completely, you have like this giant stop sign thing that you wave by sticking it out between the edge of the berm and the target. And targets were on like these rails, like garage doors. So you roll it up, you wait till you see the impact, then you roll it back down, you find the round, you mark it, and then you roll it back up, and then you shoot again. There's always bonus points if you hit the marker. Do people really care about this stuff?
Probably not. I find it interesting, but I don't know if other people do.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the first thing you got to learn how to do if you're ever going to shoot a rifle at any range is learn how to properly zero the weapon. You zero the weapon, and everything else will come on its own. If you don't zero the weapon, and you don't know it's not properly zeroed, all the other mechanics, the skeletal structure and the relaxed muscles and the trigger control and the breathing rituals, those won't matter. The weapon's only going to fire where it's pointed to. And if where it's pointing doesn't line up with your front and rear apertures, then guess what? You're just hitting nothing. I haven't fired a rifle in over 5 years, but if I got a rifle, zeroed it in, and fired maybe 10 shots, I could probably get back into my 20-year-old form with rifle accuracy. So based on their score, you got marksman, sharpshooter, and expert rifleman badges. That's why the little silver badges that Marines wear in their dress uniforms, you've got 3 different ones. Actually, there's 4. There's a 4th one that's gold, but very few guys ever get that. But that's for like being, international competitors.
And which are you?
I usually got the sharpshooter, which is the middle one.
Oh, yeah?
That was my favorite badge anyway. That's one I preferred. So that one looks like an iron cross.
Huh.
Yeah, that's the sharpshooter. So that's middle of the pack. And then, so the lowest one is the marksman badge. We call that the pizza box. It's just a square with a circle in
it. The pizza box.
So
it's cute.
Yeah, so when guys were doing bad at the range, you say, "What are you going out for pizza tonight?" And then the expert's the one with like the wreath and the cross rifles in the middle. That's the expert. So those, and you can get different ones every year. So back in my day, I'm sounding like an old fogey nowadays. So back in my day, you could do, most units required it 1 year, but some units allowed you to do 2 quals a year. So when you did a qualification, you could move up or down from pizza box to expert in 1 year. And usually it's a 3 to 4 day gig. After boot camp. In boot camp, it's 3 weeks. And the first 2 weeks, you never fire the weapon. You're just learning how to do bone structure and relaxing and getting used to having a strap around your arm that's cutting off your circulation for hours at a time.
And it's crazy talking to Mr. Brad, finding out how accurate Full Metal Jacket is in the beginning.
Oh, the boot camp part?
Yeah.
I mean, there was some stuff that happened in the 60s and 70s in the movie that didn't happen anymore.
Right.
Getting choked out by the drill instructor, that didn't really happen. I mean, they were still beating us up, but they weren't like, making us hang ourselves or anything like that, like in that movie.
Right.
But, I got beat up a couple times by the drill instructors. Nothing like the blanket party that Vinny D'Onofrio was kind of got.
Right.
Nothing like that.
Well, good morning. It is Wednesday, and I'm in the hotel room, and I forgot my tripod, so I have you sitting on the windowsill, so hopefully this looks okay. I just wanted to talk to you about a few things. Let's see. So last night, we checked into the room. We went down to get dinner. There's this Italian place that Brad went to the last time he was here. I wasn't with him the last time he came here. So I got my favorite meal of all time, spaghetti and meatballs. I know, this is who I am. It was really delicious. And he got some pizza. I did a bunch of reading last night, and we went to bed early, which was wonderful. And I was just telling him, it's weird. I know when I come with him on this particular job that he does, we're just gone for one night, but it feels so good to get away for one night. It's like the dishes and the laundry aren't chiding me for not finishing them, you know? So I'm not like constantly beating myself up about not being perfect. So it's just kind of nice to get away a little bit and not have to worry about the everyday stuff, you know, even if it is just for one night. And so I've got this whole thing that I've been doing, and I've been kind of enhancing it every time we come, where I pamper myself. And so what I did last night, this stuff is called Huangasu Sakura Peeling Radiance Pads. I got this in an Ipsy bag, and they're just pads. They look like, you know, the pads that you would wash your face with. And so I used this to cleanse last night, and it just felt wonderful. And it's got this resealable pack on the top, so I might just keep this in my travel bag, and whenever we go anywhere, just use this to cleanse my face at night, because it just felt so soothing and cooling and relaxing, and like I just felt really pampered. So I might even buy more of these from Ipsy so that I have them for future trips. But I really like these. And the artwork on the packaging doesn't hurt either. It just feels so wonderful, just even looking at the package. And then I've got this, that's the brand, It Beauty, I think it's called, Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep. And it's Skin Transforming Pillow Cream for all skin types. And I used this for the first time last night. I think it worked well. It just felt really moisturizing, and the smell of it, it's got kind of like a little bit of a lavender undertone to the scent. So it was super relaxing to put this on before I went to sleep. So I'm definitely going to keep this in my travel bag as well and keep using it whenever we're not at home. And so then this morning, we both got up a little bit before the alarm went off, about half an hour before the alarm went off, I guess because we went to bed early. And so, you know, Brad took his shower and got ready and went to work. And I took my shower, but this is one of my days where I don't wash my hair. I don't wash my hair every day. So you can't tell that I took a shower because my hair is dry, but I just kind of threw it up. I haven't even brushed it yet. But I took my shower. I went downstairs now. I decided to take the stairs to go downstairs. And I forgot that when you take the stairs here, you end up outside. So I end up outside, and I'm in my pajamas, okay? Because this isn't what I actually wear to sleep in. So I took my shower, and then I put my pajamas on to lounge around and stuff. So I end up outside in the parking lot, and I walk in, and I see the sign that says, "No mask, no entry." And I realize I left my mask in the hotel room. If I'm honest, I can't get used to masks. I am that person that constantly gets halfway through the parking lot to the store and then realizes, oh shoot, I forgot to put my mask on. That's me every time. Now, luckily, I usually keep them in my purse, so it doesn't matter, you know, before I get in there, oh, you know, and I grab one and it's fine. But this time it's like, well, what do I do? because I can't get back in that door, you know. It's like an exit only kind of door. I can't get back in that door. I have to go through the lobby, and then there's even bigger signs that say you're not allowed on the elevator unless you're staying here and you have to have a mask on. So I'm like, oh, I can't go back up to the room. So I went up to the desk and I was like, you don't happen to have any masks up here, do you? Because I came running down the stairs and outside and then realized I forgot my mask in my room. I felt so silly. Anyway, he said, as long as you are staying here, I can give you a mask. What's your room number? So I told him my room number. I showed him my key. And he gave me a mask. Anyway, the whole reason I went downstairs was to get breakfast. And it's not like it used to be, you know. At hotels, usually when they say continental breakfast, usually there's like eggs and bacon and, you know, that kind of stuff. Well, now you go downstairs. Now they actually have somebody there. For a long time they didn't. But they used to have these little, like a breakfast box with different stuff in it. Now they have someone there, and you can get coffee and you can get a couple different things. I just got like a tiny, one of those little miniature sized muffins and a banana. And that was more than enough. So then this morning, after I got back to the room, I did this soothing lychee face mask by Hannah Lay, and I really liked it. I don't usually do these face masks. I usually do the mud ones because these irritate my skin usually. But I got this in an Ipsy bag and I thought, well, I'll go ahead and try it. And it was wonderful, and it smells like raspberry to me. It was really wonderful. I don't know if my skin looks any different, but it was really pampering to use it. And then I also did, it's so funny, I'm sitting here out the window. There's the hotel's like in a neighborhood. So there's all these people walking their dogs outside. So I'm looking at all the cute puppies. Anyway, then I used this Epiel shea butter and jojoba oil and vitamin E hydrating socks, and I got these on clearance at Big Lots. I almost said Best Buy. At Big Lots. And this is really nice. This is not the first one I've used, but I love these hydrating socks. They're so wonderful. Just feels so luxurious. So I feel nice and pampered. It's like I have my own little spa day here at the hotel. Because I don't usually do that stuff at home, so it's kind of nice to do it here. I feel like I'm on vacation or something. So Brad and I had this discussion after we recorded last night, and I wanted to talk to you about it because I think it's really interesting, and I think it's something to think about. What we talked about was when all this is over, when this next lockdown is over, you know, they're telling us not to get together with our families for the holidays, and some will listen and some won't. But I think when this is all over, I think that we're going to appreciate things more. Like, because we were saying there's got to be something good that'll come out of this. Like, it feels terrible, but if you look at the history of humanity, we've survived a lot of crazy things, and this isn't, for our lifetime, this is something new, but it's really nothing new, right? We've survived this kind of stuff before, and so, what, you know, what does it mean? And I think that we will appreciate things more, or hopefully we will. But then there's that human condition where a lot of people just always want to be upset about things, or look for things to be mad about, right? But I think, you know, it's like when you look at family get-togethers. If you look at society, if you look at movies or you read books about family get-togethers, it's always this like, I have to go spend Thanksgiving with my family. You watch like Home for the Holidays, or so many of the Christmas movies or anything, when the family starts to get together, there's always somebody in the car like, oh, I don't want to do this. And I think this is a really good time to think about maybe we can appreciate our family and figure out a way to enjoy our time with them when we do get to see them. I think this is a reminder that you never know when you're going to see people again. And that just because you even have plans, that doesn't mean that something can't happen to stop them. Something unexpected, like this. And so I think it's important. We were saying that, you know, there's certain members of our family that we know there's certain things you discuss and there's certain things you don't discuss. And as long as you stay within the boundaries of what you can discuss, things usually go pretty well. And if you go outside of those walls, it can get real ugly real fast, or at least with our families. And not everybody, but just certain members, you know. And so we were saying, you know, what? Well, how do you get out of it? You know, your grandpa brings up something that, like, oh, we can't talk about the fact that I dropped out of college again. Like, I'm going to lose my mind. You know, grab your phone, look at, oh, whoops, hold on, I got a text message. And then start talking about, oh yeah, so-and-so was talking about this, and just change the subject. That's probably the easiest way to do it. That's one good thing about cell phones. You can change the subject with them. You can use them as a way to move on to something else. And you can even think ahead of time of different topics you know that you like to talk to that person about. So when you have to change the subject, it can be, you know, I was thinking the other day about the time that we all went to Paris together. If you and your family have gone to Paris together, I don't know, that sounds really bougie, doesn't it? I've never been to Paris, but... Sorry, just drinking some coffee. But as long as your family can be respectful of you and you can be respectful of them, then great. But if not, it might be a good idea to redefine who your family is. Your family doesn't have to be the blood family that you inherited. Because let's face it, we don't pick our family. And sometimes the people that you pick as your family are the ones that you feel the most at home with in life. I mean, I don't know if there's anything more wonderful for me than being with Brad and my pets. That's my family, you know. And not that I don't love the rest of my family, but, you know, let's face it, I don't see them that often. And when I do, I guess I'm like home for the holidays. It's like, I have to see so-and-so again. And it's not always like that. There's certain members of my family that I love seeing, but there's other ones that I don't. And I think most people have that experience. I don't think that there's very many people out there that absolutely love seeing everyone in their family or doesn't get irritated around their family, right? So, I think it's just important to decide ahead of time, hey, I'm not going to get my panties in a bunch today. I think that when we get together with our family, just like any other encounter, it's like if you go into it thinking you're going to be upset or you're not going to enjoy yourself, you're probably right and you probably won't, because you'll be looking for things to be upset about. Sorry, there's like, of course, right across the way, there's, I guess, like a condo, and there's somebody out on the balcony, and they keep like staring over here, and it's like, leave me alone, I'm sitting in the window. So I guess a really good example of what I'm talking about is there's someone, I'm not going to say who it is. If you're in my family and you're watching this, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But I don't want to like call that person out publicly or anything. There's someone in my family that will say 2 words to me, maybe 5, the entire time if I see them. And I guess this person loves me. I don't know. I don't know if this person is capable of loving people. But they are part of my family, and it is what it is. I've just decided that I'm not going to let this person get to me. I'm not going to let them hurt my feelings anymore. And so I go into it when I see them expecting to be ignored the whole time. I expect a hello and a goodbye, and that's probably it. And I don't let it bother me. What I've decided is I'm never alone with this person. There's usually a group of people around, right? It's usually like a family get together. So when I'm around them, I just have in my mind who my safe people are, and I just glue myself to them like a magnet. I'm like, you know, there's my safe person. And I just sit and talk to those people instead of concentrating on the complete and utter selfishness of the other, the one person in the room. It's like the elephant in the room. Life is just too short. And there's no point in talking to this person about how I feel, because one thing I've learned in life is if somebody is really selfish, there is no point in talking to them. You can either accept who they are, love them for them, and figure out how to make being around them work, or you cannot. But if you talk to them about it, they will just gaslight you and tell you that it's all your fault or that you're wrong. And hey, how I feel is how I feel. It's not wrong. It's how I feel. So I have found it's actually easier to not talk to people that I think are super selfish. And I know that sounds weird, but it's just a lot more peaceful. Otherwise, it's this big argument, and then for a year or two later, there's all this tension, and I just don't find it to be worth the time, because it never changes. People don't change unless they want to change. And when you're going to somebody saying, hey, I don't like this about you, that's you wanting them to change. That's not them wanting themselves to change, right? So I just don't even talk to people about it anymore. So I guess that's my thing about family or get-togethers. But if you feel like you can't come to that conclusion with your family, I think that's okay. And I think it's okay to not actively be a part of your family if you don't feel comfortable doing it. And if you can't decide to like be around this other person instead, or go look outside and appreciate the trees or whatever, that's okay. You can find your own family. Whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be people. It can be your pets. It can be the trees outside, whatever, you know. Anyway, I just feel like we have a choice right now. So I took some notes about what we were talking about. This could be a time for growth within us. Maybe learn untapped things about ourselves, our loved ones, our community, our environment, our world, our country. So we can choose to figure out what we're learning and kind of like grow with it, because we're all going through this together, whether we like it or not. Or we can become bitter victims. And we all have that choice. And that's one of the beautiful things. We all have the choice to decide how we react to things. And we all have the choice to decide which path we want to take. And I've decided I don't want to be a bitter victim. I'm not blaming everyone else for stuff or blaming whatever else on stuff. I'm just going to figure out how to be a happy, contributing member of society. I'm bound and determined I'm going to be a happy person. Because change is part of life. And it's kind of like, you guys know, if you've been watching my page for a while, I love the 80s. And I kind of love the 90s. Like, I love the 90s and I love the 80s. And I love the 40s. I mean, there's a bunch of different eras that I love. And it's okay to have nostalgia about the past. But you have to accept that you're living in the now, and you have to figure out how to be happy in the now. And I think we have to accept that pre-2020 life, it's gone and it's just not coming back. Things are changing. The world around us is changing. This is a new era. And so we can look back fondly on pre-2020, but we're not going to get it back. So we can just have nostalgia in a healthy way about it and maybe have, you know, like our favorite photos from the pre-2020 era blown up and framed and put on the wall or something. But it's not coming back. And that's okay, because life is change. I mean, nothing stays the same in life. Not even us. We change. Our bodies change. Everything around us changes. And it's just, it's a new wave. So I guess just try to remember, and I'm going to try to remember too, that we get what we put out. If we put love and positivity out, we're a lot more likely to get it back than if you walk around cursing everyone out and getting in their face, you know. It's kind of like what I was saying about that one family member. I choose not to engage the negativity, so I don't get negativity back. I just don't get anything back, and I'm happy with that. And I choose that when I'm around them, I'm going to have a great time in spite of it. Like, I'm not going to let somebody that doesn't appreciate me dictate whether or not I have a good time. And it's very freeing to feel that way. So anyway, that's my little food for thought this morning. And I hope that maybe you got something out of it, maybe not, but I don't know. It's just been an interesting time lately. Like, I'm trying to spend time in the morning, just quiet time, not looking at my phone, just like kind of stretching and breathing and just kind of easing into my morning. And then I like to read at night, and it's kind of a nice way to go to bed without my head spinning in 100 different directions. It's like, and just trying to think about what I've learned from everything and what I might be learning now, or, you know, how I might look back on everything. But I think it's so important, no matter what you're going through, to always try to think about when you're looking back on it later and thinking about what you learned. You know, do you want to be somewhat open-minded and think about, I just think being open-minded makes learning a lot easier. The ride is a lot less bumpy that way. And the only reason I think that is because I've had so many trials and tribulations. Like, I think we were talking about this last night too. There's certain things that I've been kind of blessed with that maybe other people haven't, you know? Just like other people get blessed with things too. I'm not saying that, but that they aren't. But I think in some ways God blessed me with some of these things to help me get through it, because God knew that I was going to have a really bumpy life. And I have. I am not one of those people that has had an easy ride, and I'm not one of those people that I don't know. There's just some people that seem to just smoothly go through life. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not one of them. I have really led a roller coaster of a life. It's been a very bumpy ride, but I have to say I have lived my life to the fullest. I have had the highest of ups and the lowest of lows. And I'm happy that I'm still here. I hope that I'm one of the fortunate few who gets to live a long, long life. Because I think aging, what is that saying? Like, aging is a gift bestowed upon few or something. That's why I think it's funny that so many people are so scared of aging. It's like, you know what? Getting older is a gift. I'm going to stop talking now. I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. I'm going to try, as long as my health allows, I'm going to try to come on here on Wednesday and do like a pre-Thanksgiving live video. So hopefully I will feel up to it. I've been feeling a lot better the last few days. And so I'm hoping that this will be time for me to finally be more active. And yeah, I have a lot of hope and excitement for the future. So, and I hope you do too. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Please let me know down in the comments what you're thankful for. Please let me know what traditions you have in mind or memories that you have. I love reading that kind of stuff. And what's your favorite memory as a kid on Thanksgiving? Let me know. All right. I love you.